Hello everyone, and welcome to another review. Today's a bit of a special case, because today I'm going to be talking about a game I previously talked about in the past, and did a terrible job at it. That game is Megaman X5. For this review, I will leave no stone unturned. I'll fully explain why I hate this game so much. No pussy let's play the Let's Play would have a field day with, and not an unscripted video done in a rush job. This is a scripted review this time, and I'm going to rip this game to shreds. Also, this game will contain spoilers for the game in question. To get some context out of the way, allow me to talk about the X series for those who don't know. Mega Man X is a series by Capcom that is a run-and-gun game about defeating 8 Mavericks and obtaining their powers to defeat the big bad Sigma. This series has 8 games in it, and a spin-off game known as Command Mission, and takes place 100 years after the classic Mega Man series. With that description out of the way, let's dive in. The game opens up with Sigma talking to the new character named Dynamo about a plan Sigma has up his sleeve. Dynamo's a guy that wants to impede the progress of the Maverick Hunters, and he kinda reminds me of Hazama from BlazBlue. But no matter which character you pick, you will always be bombarded by the new character, Alia. As much as I could cop out and say that I already discussed this character, I'm not going to do that, because Alia was a problem in this game, and I already addressed it and I'm not leaving any stone unturned. But Alia is such an annoyance! She constantly interrupts the game to give the player useless information, or she will give information so obvious, it made me wonder if there was originally an option to turn off Alia speaking. But back to the story. After the fight in the first level, Sigma releases the virus onto the planet, affecting both humans and Reploids. Okay, stop. How could a virus created by a Reploid affect humans? This was never explained in the game, and I view it as a story problem because how can a virus created by a robot with human emotions affect non-robotic life forms? Alia then brings up that the Eurasia colony, which is the name of the first level you played in, by the way, is going to crash into the planet in 16 hours. In order to stop it, they bring up 2 methods. A laser cannon which needs to be upgraded in order to use it, and the other is a rocket ship that needs a co-pilot as well as an upgrade in order to crash into it FF7 style. So with that, let's get to the Maverick select screen. You can pick any Maverick you want, but in order to advance the story, it's advised you pick the 4 on the left first. But even the Maverick screen pisses me off. Why? The countdown mechanic. Yes, I get it, the colony's gonna crash in that amount of time. But in the end, the colony crashes and does unrepairable damage to the planet anyway, ignoring X7's continuity, which makes the mechanic pointless. And if you run out of time, which is highly unlikely given how much time you have, and another reason I say this is because each Maverick you go through takes off 1 hour. If you run out, 0 turns Maverick and you get the shitty ending, which also happens if you don't get the parts but launch them anyway. But let's cover the Maverick stages. Grizzly Slash is an okay stage, aside from Alia talking, and the boss fight isn't too bad. Duff McWhalen. Auto-scrolling sections? And to add insult to injury, you had to go back to the stage again just to get a piece of the Falcon armor. You could argue the same thing with Grizzly Slash, but if you're really good at the jumps, you can get it the first time depending on which character you have. So that one's kind of subjective. I've seen people being able to do it. Okay, now I can talk about the armors. Unlike other Mega Man X games, X5 introduced 2 armors for X to find and used on top of the 4th armor he got from the last game. Falcon armor is a good armor I like using because the dash can harm enemies, and although it has a tiny charge shot, I like using this armor. Unlike the Gaia armor. Oh god, this armor sucks. You can't use the weapons you took from the Mavericks. He's incredibly slow, and he can only use this small Giga attack which only works in close range. Now, there is another armor, but that's not until later. However, no matter what armor you get, you can't use the armor parts once you unlock it. You have to grab all 4 armor pieces in order to unlock the use of the armor. Why? Every game before this had X able to use the parts he got, so why change it in this? Especially with one of the armors being an absolute waste of programming and time. Was it too hard for them to think of functions? Next up is Squid Adler. No. Next. To wrap up the first 4 is Izzy Glow. Oh, shit. These stage hazards are such an annoyance. If X gets hit by this and becomes infected, he will slowly lose health for a short period of time. You see this thing on the bottom left-hand side? That's what it's for. If Zero becomes infected, nothing happens. So after beating the first 4 Mavericks, it's revealed the cannon did jack shit, and now you get to grab the parts for the ship. I think it's about time I talked about the upgrades. Once you beat the second Maverick, you're given 2 options after completing the level. Weapons and Energy, which increases your weapon energy, and Weapons and Life, which increases your health, which pretty much removes the need for the heart tank. Upon your selection, you are given an upgrade to give to either X or Zero to improve their stats. One of these examples is the Antivirus Guard, which raises defense against enemies, and the Ultimate Buster, which removes the need for the charge shot since you can fire it anyway. You gotta wait a couple milliseconds to fire it again, but yeah. To access it, press L when you're at the Maverick screen if you're playing the X Collection on GameCube. I like these upgrades, but some of them have stupid requirements in order to get them. For example, in order to get the Ultimate Buster upgrade, you have to get both armors, at least from my playthrough of it. But let's get back to the second half. Dark Dizzy Stages has some decent concepts, but a pathetic boss. Skyver's probably my favorite Maverick stage in the game, but it's not as good as the previous games. It's because of the stupid mechanics introduced, such as auto-scrolling segments, being forced to grapple the Sparks and Squid Adler stage, which is bullshit because it's such a fast-paced level that you can't get them all, and if you fail to get one, you have to die. And the controls in that segment are all over the place. I died so many times in this stage, it's not even funny. I had to speed them up in my Let's Play of it. By the way, if anyone's noticed this, yes, the Mavericks in the English release are named after Guns N' Roses members. Why? They had cooler nicknames in Japan, in my opinion. Back to the stages. I hate Matrix's stage because of not only the placement of the Gaia armor piece, cheap, and also because of it being a lava level, which I despise because it's lava, one-hit kill. Lastly, there's Axel the Red. This one is such a massive ripoff of Gemini Man, it's not even funny, and that's all the Mavericks. As for their weapons, they're decent, I guess, but there aren't any that really stand out as great. Axel the Red's weapon is a spiked ball that barely does any damage to the opponent, which shows in the final battle with Sigma, where one of his weaknesses is the damn spike ball. More on that later, but it goes all over the place. It's bad. God damn. Let's move on. Colony crashes into the planet and a new virus is created, with Zero's DNA and Sigma's, creating the Zero virus. As such, we have to deal with the Zero virus stages, which has decent stage designs, albeit annoying stage mechanics. Damn it, Quick Man! Bosses aren't too bad though. The remade Rangda Banga is mediocre because its fight's a little cheap with a spike pit. The Shadow Devil is bullshit hard, and then there's the fight with X and Zero. In the stage before you fight X or Zero, if you go into the stage as Armorless X or Zero, you can unlock Black Zero for increased defenses, and X receives the Ultimate Armor. I don't have an issue with Black Zero because he gets added defenses and that's roughly it. But Ultimate Armor I do have an issue with. In the last game, this armor was a cheat code and you couldn't get it in the main game. X5 says, screw that, let's make it so that you can get it before the final boss. Ultimate Armor increases X's shots by 50%, can air dash similar to the Falcon Armor, and you can use the Nova Strike an infinite amount of times. I view this as a problem because it's a game-breaking armor. Once you have it and use it, why would you want the other armors if you have it? Why include this as an item you can get without cheating and not nerf it? A cheat should remain as a cheat, it's all I'm saying. Now I could not use it, but why is it there in the first place? It's like if in Pokemon Ruby, right before you fought the Elite Four, your rival shows up and gives you a level 100 Pokemon with maxed out stats. Of course it's game breaking, but the temptation is there. As for the fight with X or Zero, it's pathetically easy with the Ultimate Armor. But even without it, Falcon Armor makes this boss easy because of his air dashing, and because of the shitty programming, making it repetitive for his attack patterns. And it's even easier if you use Zero. So after Sigma appears, it's on to the final stage. Mavericks in the boss rush have ridiculously high health bars, and yes, in case you're wondering, I haven't mentioned the level system, because it frankly did nothing important during my playthrough of the game. What's supposed to happen is that if you keep dying on a certain stage before you beat the Mavericks, their levels will increase, making it harder and harder. Problem is, for me, I never had that problem, even during my first playthrough of the game. But getting back on topic, if you use Ultimate Armor, it's a cakewalk. On to Sigma. He gets some lame-ass exposition about doing this to reawaken Zero from his false self, and the fight begins. Sigma's first form dashes at you like the Roadrunner and fires beams at you. You can use the electric attack even with Ultimate Buster, which has them upgraded to max. But it's not a big deal if you have the Ultimate Armor, just Nova Strike the bitch. Seriously, it's like I have God mode on. The same sadly applies for his final form, just use Nova Strike and you win. Now, I haven't talked about the music because there really wasn't any tracks that stood out. I guess the soundtrack is meh. I do enjoy some, like the fight against X and Zero, but other songs like the Zero Virus stages are just bland. It doesn't really stand out or is impressive. On to the ending though. Zero dies as well as Sigma, and X is left to lead the Maverick Hunters, but he has Zero's blade now, which, by the way, is useless in X6. So that's Megaman X5, and if you couldn't tell, I hated it. If it wasn't for the stupid mechanics in the stages, or the piss-poor game decisions, the Mavericks were lame, the story was mediocre, music was bland, and the overall game just left me in a bad mood once completed. I did not want to hate this game, but it just pissed me off. And yet this game is nowhere near as bad as Convoy no Nazo. This game is bad, but I do not consider it that bad to be in a tier like that. So, that's all I have to say. See you next time. Peace.